We have spent all week talking about our expectations and our game plans for Kenny Dillingham, but let's talk about what we do know about the future on this edition of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast.
Are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in wherever you're getting your podcast. Hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you get an update when we post new content, and stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36 and the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Before we get started, special shout out to the everydayers that are here every day. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. All right. Last 3 days, we talked game plan for 2023, 2024, and then 2025 and beyond. Well, we are going to spend a lot of time talking about 2023 and the recruiting class that's coming in. We're going to be spending a lot of time talking about the transfers that are coming in. That is all in the future, like the near future for us. But the distant future, not so distant, I should say, is the 2024 class. And it's already starting to take a little bit of a shape for Arizona State. And that's what we're going to talk about today is the recruiting class that the Sun Devils already have so far. They're up to 4 players. It's amazing for what it's worth. During the Herm Edwards era and for the 2023 recruiting class that he had 4 players at one point. And that was insanely terrible. Arizona State's already got that, and they're only going to continue to get more and more guys. There's very notable guys that we'll talk about. And then after that, I've got a small wish list of the positions I want to see, the in-state prospects I want, and the out-of-state prospects I want. Spoiler alert, we're not getting too crazy. I am only looking at players who have already been offered by Arizona State. So we're not going to list every 5-star, but I will tell you there's a lot of 5 stars simply because it's a wish list. Let's go ahead and hop into this recruiting class. First of all, it's not just Kenny Dillingham that has had his fingers all over the recruiting class for Arizona State. There's been a lot of help from the assistant coaches, Rashad Samples and Bryan Carrington. Both of them have really, really strong ties to the state of Texas. Now, anybody who's been around the podcast for a long time knows how I feel about high school recruiting in Texas. I think that this is a territory that Arizona State needs to start pursuing more, and a territory that Arizona State needs to capitalize on and start to really bring in those guys. You know, high school football in Texas is a borderline religion for them out there. They eat, breathe, sleep, and base their lives around Friday Night Lights. It's broadcast on local television. Like, this is a big deal. And because of that, you've got some of the best prospects in the nation that come out of the state of Texas. I believe that Arizona is in a really nice geological location where you're, a few hundred miles away from the state of Texas. You should be able to recruit better than what you've been doing. And having Rashad Samples and having Bryan Carrington with those connections to the Texas area was hopefully going to be your step in the right direction. I got good news. Of the 4 recruits Arizona has, Arizona State, oh, forgive me. Oh, shame on me. I have half a mind to start the podcast over, but I'll take my lumps. Please feel free to rip me. That was terrible. Total brain fart. I'm very tired. Anyways, of the 4 recruits that Arizona State has, 3 of them are from Texas. The prospects that Arizona State has brought in are wide receiver Elijah Besa. Too busy thinking about Elijah Badger. Elijah Besa from Texas. Zachariah Sample, another wide receiver. Besa was a receiver. I can't remember if I mentioned that. Zachariah Sample, wide receiver, Texas. Dylan Tapley, athlete from Arizona. And Tony Lewis Nkuba, cornerback from Texas. And for what it's worth, guys, they are all listed as 3 stars on 24/7 Sports, but 24/7 Sports isn't the end-all be-all when it comes to recruiting. There's Rivals, there's ESPN, there's countless other places. Elijah Besa is listed as a 4-star on ESPN, And Dylan Tapley and Tony Lewis-Nakuba are listed as 4 stars on Rivals. So if you culminate everything together, right, and you cherry pick what you want, there are 3 4-star prospects for Arizona State's 2024 recruiting class. That's a great step in the right direction. They have also done what I wanted them to do for years, is get those Texas recruits in here. You're already seeing the benefits of Samples and Carrington having those connections and bringing those guys in. And it's not an accident that those guys are bringing in their positions. Besa and Sample, Texas guys, are being brought in by Rashad Samples, the wide receiver coach. Lewis-Nakuba, who is a corner, is being brought in by Bryan Carrington, who is the defensive backs coach. Like, these aren't coincidences, guys. This is clearly the start of a trend. Will it continue? We'll wait and see. But this is the kind of stuff you want to see, is your main recruiters being able to recruit the top prospects, being able to recruit in the states that they're comfortable in, being able to start building their locker rooms and their positional groups in their image with the guys they want, with the guys that they believe will fit their system, and the guys that believe in the coaches. This is the right step in the right direction that we're looking for. So looking at these 4, what I can tell you is I feel plenty of reason to be excited about these guys. And not to short Dylan Tapley here, because I do want to talk about him. It's just so much focus on those Texas guys. You just love that your main recruiters outside of Kenny Dillingham are bringing in guys from the place that they have come to know, whether they grew up there or whether they had connections. Like Bryan Carrington had TCU connections. Rashad Samples was actually born in Texas, went to college at Oklahoma State, not too far away. They're familiar with that area, so that's great to see. Dylan Tapley, here's the other side of it. I've said I want to recruit Texas. Kenny Dillingham has said he wants to recruit Arizona. Well, there you go. Dylan Tapley's a high school prospect in Arizona. He is from Desert Mountain, which is over in Scottsdale. If you guys don't know where that is, this is great news. You really put an emphasis last year, or I guess this year, with the transfers that you brought in. So many guys were former Arizona products from the Valley or otherwise, like Jacob Conover and Jake Smith were the big highlighted guys, former 4-star prospects from the state of Arizona, who were brought back to Arizona State to get their careers jump-started again because they just kind of stalled out at their respective locations that they played previously. This is clearly something that Kenny Dillingham wants to do. It's why he says activate the Valley all the time. You are now beginning to recruit inside the state of Arizona. We're going to get more into that in just a moment with the prospects in the state of Arizona that I would like to see a heavy emphasis on. But the bottom line here is I want you to recruit Texas. You're recruiting Texas. Kenny Dillingham wants you to recruit Arizona. You're recruiting Arizona. Clearly, they're committing to what they have set out to accomplish. Like they're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. They said we're going to do this. They've been doing it so far. So I think that's my biggest takeaway here. The thing that I am absolutely thrilled about so far is seeing that Arizona State has been able to back up their word, and they've been able to start bringing in those guys that we want to see them bringing in, whether it's Texas, whether it's Arizona, whether it's California, wherever it may be. Arizona State, as of right now, is committing to the bit. They're committing to committing. Guys, I love this sponsor. I love all our sponsors. I especially love Bird Dogs. And I'm here to tell you guys right now about them because they're comfortable, they're a great fit, they're versatile. And I'll tell you what, I've got my 2 pairs and I'm wearing them a lot more often than I should. But you can't blame me because, again, they're comfortable, they're custom fit, and they have a built-in liner that allows you to throw these bad boys on and get on with your day. They're perfect for the golf course. They're perfect for a little get-together with your friends. You got a hot date, throw these bad boys on. It's fashionable. It fits your style. They're versatile to fit with whatever you want to wear. You can put a polo on. You can put a T-shirt on. Whatever your outfit demands, Bird Dogs is going to go with it. And I'm not the only person who loves Bird Dogs. Bert Kreischer wears his Bird Dogs. Dave Portnoy wears his Bird Dogs. The college football nerds wear their bird dogs. The Pardon My Take hosts wear their bird dogs. Guys, it's the new fashion right now. You got to get in on it. And the best part is if you do, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, enter the promo code lockedoncollege. It'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. So make sure that when you put in your order for Bird Dogs, because I know you're going to, you put in that promo code locked on college. That's birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, promo code locked on college. Get a free Yeti style tumbler for Bird Dogs when you put in that order. Guys, I promise you, this is a great fit. You guys are going to love it just as much as I do. As always, thank you guys for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils. To my everydayers, make sure that you tune in next week as we begin taking a closer look at some positional battles for Arizona State for the upcoming 2023 season. You won't want to miss it. We're going to be starting off with the offensive line. Not the flashiest position, but a position that's got a lot of competition. So make sure you tune in next week as we start our series on positional battles. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look now at we'll start with the positions I want to see us recruit more. I want to see these following positions. I only listed 5 to start. And we're going to start with the obvious ones and the ones that we've already seen us recruit. I want to see wide receivers and I want to see cornerbacks. Why? Because I think that Arizona State is going to recruit these positions very, very well. I think that this is going to be the new norm for Arizona State is they're going to start getting really good receiver prospects. They're going to start getting really good cornerback prospects. And they've already had some success just within the last 10 years. Wide receivers, they've had N'Keal Harry, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Strong. They've had, Frank Darby was really productive. Gary Chambers was solid for them. Cameron Smith was solid. Like they've had a lot of quality receivers over the last handful of years. They now have Elijah Badger. They did have Johnny Wilson. They did have Ricky Pearsall. They do a good job bringing in receivers. I want to see them continue to do that, and I want to see Rashad Samples leave his mark on it. Same thing for cornerback. We haven't had as much NFL success, but we've still had Chase Lucas, who made a career, like a lifelong ASU career here as the all-time starts leader. You've had Lloyd Carrington, who was very, very quality for you. Jack Jones, and I understand some of the guys I'm naming weren't recruited. The point is that we've had success with those positions, which should translate to being able to recruit these kids. So, yes, I know that Brandon Ayuk and that Jalen Strong and Jack Jones weren't recruited by ASU, but they had success at ASU, which will be something that you can market to these kids to bring them in. So wide receiver, cornerback, I want to see those. Offensive line, every single piece, I want to see that recruited as well. We haven't had a top-tier offensive line in a long time, probably since the days of like the Christian Westermans and the Jameel Douglases on that offensive line. Kellen Diesch was very solid. So was our center, whose name is completely escaping me right now. They've had players. They just haven't put together a consistent starting 5. That's what I want to start seeing change. I like some of the guys that they have right now. I'm a really big fan of Bram Walden to potentially develop there. He's one of the young guys I'm excited about. I just want to see us continue to put an emphasis on trying to get better up front for whoever's going to be under center. I do want to see on the flip side, the defensive line and the edge rushers. I lump them in together because ASU just needs guys to get after the quarterback. They need especially more help on the defensive interior. I really like CJ Fight, and I think that he's going to end up being a leader by example for that unit. Hopefully ASU is going to be able to take his momentum, show how these guys fit with the Brian Ward defense and the Vince Amy coaching for the positional group, and use that momentum. I want to see more edge rushers. I like what we got. The Garen Stansberrys, the Clayton Smiths, BJ Green, Ashley Williams, Anthony Cooper, Michael Matus. There's a lot of names here that have me excited. Let's keep that momentum going and start getting some younger, fresher, talented guys. Guys I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. Finally, the last position, because I did lump edge and defensive line together, tight ends. Let's become tight end you. We've got 3 really quality guys right now on the roster with Jalen Conyers, Messiah Swinson, and Bryce Pierre. Let's keep that going. And once again, I have a tight end I'm going to mention here right now. In-state prospects, I want to see Arizona State take a look at. It starts and really ends with Elijah Rushing. Rushing is one of the top recruits in the entire nation. He is the number one edge rushing prospect. He's a product of Tucson, Arizona. How great would that be to snipe him from them? And overall, this dude is a game changing defensive piece. Arizona State has had quality edge rushers, but Elijah Rushing would be in a mold close to Terrell Suggs as a prospect, ladies and gentlemen, as a recruit, I should say, not a prospect. As a recruit, Elijah Rushing would be up there with Terrell Suggs for the potential, for the upside. He's an Arizona kid. You want him to stay in state. There's no better guy to keep in state than one of the top prospects in the nation. He's not the number one prospect in Arizona only because Dylan Raiola plays in Arizona. Take it for what it is. He's about as good as it gets for the edge rushing position. There's a reason he's a consensus 5-star across every platform. There's a reason why he's consensus number one edge rusher. Got to get him to stay in the state of Arizona, but let's get him out of the South and up into the Valley. Get him to Arizona State. I just did it again. I need to go to bed after this, apparently. Anyways, next guy on my list, Miles Lockhart. He is a 4-star corner. He's being heavily linked to the Ohio State right now. But again, another product of Arizona that I would like to see you keep here. I've got his profile pulled up here. It would be really helpful if I actually had that in front of me. Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. So Miles Lockhart is a running back, not a cornerback. I don't know how I got that mixed up. Miles Lockhart, a running back, 4-star prospect out of Basha High School in Chandler, 5'10", 185. Let's get him here. Let's keep that trend of keeping the guys in the state of Arizona. He is the number 3 prospect in the state of Arizona. Again, let's just keep that momentum going. All right. Next up is Christian Clark, running back out of Mountain Point High School in Phoenix. 6 foot tall, 195 pounds. He's a 3-star on the 24/7 sports rankings, but on their composite rankings, he's a 4-star. He has already been offered by Arizona State. Let's see if he can commit there. Dylan Hipp is the tight end I was referring to, 3-star guy. ASU has been in heavy pursuit of him. He was at a UCLA versus ASU basketball game over the previous season. They've been doing a lot of work on him, and he recently released his top 6 choices for where he's going to school, and Arizona State made that list. Would love to see him stay in state, and would love to see him join that hopeful upward trend of the tight end position for Arizona State. Finally, the last guy I want to name here for products in the state of Arizona is Kiana Wilhite, who is a 3-star defensive line prospect at 6'5", 236. There's thoughts that he can put on some weight and become a bigger dude. Plays at Sal Point Catholic High School down in Tucson. Another dude that you would love to pluck from that area of the state. Like I said, a 3-star prospect. He's already been offered by Arizona State. They're clearly in on this kid. Let's see if we can wrap it up and get him to come to Arizona State. Again, consider Arizona State. Those to me are the top 5 prospects in the state of Arizona that I'd be looking at. There's obviously tons of other guys who are going to be getting offers from Arizona State. But if Kenny Dillingham is committed to the bit of keeping guys in the state of Arizona and having them build legacies out here, there's no better place to do that than with some of these guys, the 5 guys I named, but there's more guys as well. Let's see if we can keep these kids in the state of Arizona. Again, thank you guys as always for tuning in. Wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. My everydayers, next Monday, we're starting our positional battle series, taking a look at the offensive line first, highlighting who is going up against who, some potential lineup options, all of that good stuff starts on Monday. Make sure that you tune in. All right, let's wrap it up with out-of-state prospects. Spoiler alert, these are all 5-star guys because shoot for the moon. However, I did keep it to 5 stars that have been offered by Arizona State. So we're not naming every single 5-star prospect, guys. I can't do that. I am sticking to the positions that I would like to see ASU recruit, similar to what I did for the in-state prospects. Like I said, and again, I'm going to echo this, these are only guys who have received offers from Arizona State. I can't name every single player, or else that's going to be very redundant and it sounds like I'm just picking the top guys. I'm picking guys that have been offered by Arizona State. It just so happens these are all 5-star guys, but again, shoot for the moon, I suppose, when we're talking about a wish list. So there's your contradictory. Only been offered, but all 5 stars. There you go. Talk about it in the comments. Starting off, one of the guys that I talk about on a consistent basis when I talk about recruiting, Colin Simmons. He's an edge rusher out of Duncanville, Texas. He is a 6'3", 225-pound edge rusher, 5-star consensus across the board, the number 4 edge rusher in the class for the 24/7 sports ranking, and on their composite ranking, the number 1 edge rushing prospect. He is the number 5 prospect in Texas, the number 20 prospect nationally. He has taken a visit out to Arizona State. He was actually at one of the practices that I attended during the spring session. He seems like he's got an interest. However, he is being heavily linked to LSU right now. We'll see what ends up happening there. Wouldn't blame him if he decided to go to a college that is closer to contending in 2024 than ASU would be, and LSU's got more history than ASU. Next up, Terry Bussey, wide receiver coming out of Timpson, Texas, another Texas guy. And again, it's not a coincidence that we're taking a look at a lot of Texas prospects here because of the Bryan Carrington and the Rashad Samples connections. Get used to it. Terry Bussey, wide receiver prospect, 5-star from 24/7. He's the number 1 athlete prospect, even though they have him listed as a wide receiver. And we are going to talk about a guy who is listed as an athlete here shortly. Number 4 prospect in Texas, 5'10.5", 180 pounds. Again, taking a look at those Texas guys, but also understanding that Rashad Samples is going to be heavily recruiting wide receivers, which is why we take a look at another wide receiver here in Micah Hudson. Again, 5-star guy, plays at Lake Belton High School in Temple. You guessed it, Texas. They're recruiting these guys, man. Get used to the Texas prospects. Get used to the Arizona prospects. Micah Hudson, 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, and a 5-star prospect. The number 6 prospect in the 2024 class, and the number 3 prospect in Texas. Next up is Kobe Black. He is a cornerback, 5-star prospect, number 2 corner in the class, number 2 Texas prospect. I feel like some of these are overlapping, so forgive me if they are. I'm literally reading off of 24/7. So if it is overlapping, not my fault. I'm reading what I see. But again, plays at Connolly High School, Waco, Texas. This is Bryan Carrington all over. He wants his defensive backs. He would love to get some of the guys that are near and dear to his heart. Kobe Black, 6 foot, 190, prototype corner. He'd be great to replace Roe Torrance with, or whoever else decides to hop into the pros after this year. The final prospect here is KJ Bolden. Bolden is the athlete listed here, but funny enough, on the 24/7 sports, this is so weird to me. Like, they list him as an athlete, but then they have him as the number 1 safety. And that is what he is considered, is a safety prospect, even though he's listed as an athlete. He plays in Buford, Georgia at Buford High School. This is the only guy on this list that we've taken a look at that is not linked to Texas or Arizona. Again, that's not a coincidence, people. There's clearly an emphasis here from Kenny Dillingham and his staff to get the Arizona kids to stay home and to start recruiting in the best place in the country to recruit high school kids from, short of maybe Florida and California. KJ Bolden, though, safety prospect, 6'1", 185. He is highly recruited as the number 1 safety prospect, one of the top athletes in the class. Should not be a surprise that that's the direction that Arizona State would like to start taking their recruiting is getting those high-end prospects. But again, while he's not a corner, he's still a defensive back. He'll get some experience to be working with Coach Carrington. Overall, the guys that I've highlighted, they fit into my mantra of the positions I wanted. They fit into my mantra of getting the Texas guys, and they fit into the Kenny Dillingham mantra of getting Arizona kids. This is clearly, for the 100th time, the direction that they're gonna be going moving forward. It's adapt or die, as Billy Beane once said from Moneyball. Shout out to my good buddy Logan. If you do listen to this, hopefully you'll appreciate that Moneyball reference. Best baseball movie ever. Bottom line, people, it's a great change that's coming to Arizona State. We already have, again, like I said, if at the beginning of the episode, if you want to cherry pick, you've got 3 4-star prospects, 1 3-star prospect, 1 kid in the state of Arizona, 3 kids in the state of Texas that are already verbal commits to you. Hopefully you can continue pursuing some guys that are in state, like Dylan Hipp seems to be heavily linked. You would love to get Elijah Rushing. That'd be an absolute dream come true. Out of state prospects, shoot for the moon, man. Try and get the top guys out there, but understand that you probably are going to be out of contention, at least for 2024, to be getting those top guys. That's all that I got for you guys on a little longer than normal episode of the Locked On Sun Devils. Thank you guys as always for tuning in, though. Wherever you're getting your podcast, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Let me know, who do you want to see recruited to Arizona State? Who do you want to see that's out of the out of the state? Who do you want that's in the state? Who do you want to see that's not a 5-star prospect? If you had a 5-star prospect, who would you want it to be? Let's start a conversation. Let's start a dialogue. Hit me up. You can drop a comment on YouTube if you would like, but wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like and subscribe, guys, so that we can keep the conversation going. I'll see you on Monday to start our positional battle series. Until next time, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.